Welcome to another High
Oh,
Five Sundays. Today, we have Serge Grandbois, another fantastic regular in our channelings, and we're ecstatic about having him because he always brings not just a deep wisdom, but a delivery that is unparalleled. We love him as a result of that. Serge, you have the floor. You
well,
can.
thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here. I've been busy for the last few weeks, um, replacing coworkers that are on holidays or had things going on. But now I'm getting back to kind of a more regular schedule. So that's very nice for me. And I'm just feeling that little push from you know who. So I might just get out of the way. He's not telling me get out of the way. I'm going to do that. Now we trust that you are comfortable
Yes, we are.
and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you as well, Chris.
And we extend a warm welcome to everyone who has decided to participate and join this evening. Your participation, of course, should never be considered haphazard or random in any way, shape, or form. Nor should you consider yourself isolated, mm, because simply put, you are connected to every living entity on your plane of existence, whether you recognize it or not. So you always have a great abundance of companions on your journeys. Some of them you lay out in your historical field under the guise of reincarnational dramas or lives. But mostly you are all interconnected very deeply through what we've referred to as dream time. In that particular space where time is suspended, time as you know it is suspended, where you experience another kind of living reality, sometimes far more vivid than your regular or everyday activities. And it is on that particular subject we would like to venture, and quite specifically, perhaps allowing you or enabling you the opportunity to ask questions as well as allow yourselves to explore these dark, deeper, and far more intense dimensions of your own living. You are accustomed to thinking of yourselves as perhaps just a physical body. You have your thoughts, you have your feelings and emotions, and yet that more or less seems to consume the human experience in many, many ways. But beyond that, above and beyond that, you have activity, you have exchanges and energies that go well beyond the normal parameters of your physical body, of that so-called three-dimensional experience. You always live multidimensionally. Always. It is not as if one day you will learn to live fourth and fifth and sixth dimensionally. You always live multidimensionally, but your focus of attention is directed towards sensory perception. And in this way, learn to gauge, manage, and interpret your own creations. And through the auspices of consciousness, you acquire knowledge and wisdom. There are two different things. You acquire knowledge and wisdom about your interactions with consciousness. And the moment you begin to appreciate that consciousness, your consciousness exists first, and then form follows, you can have a much deeper impact upon the realities that you create through your perceptions. This is an important point to keep in mind. You may think it is just merely an intellectual or emotional enterprise or exercise to think of yourselves as more than just your physical form. But even at the subatomic particle level, you are manifesting the universe in constant ways. And without you, there would be no experience. You are central to experience. And if this might be a little difficult to wrap your minds around, do consider that the atoms and molecules that make up your physical form are the same atoms and molecules that have formed stars, that have formed constellations, and that will continue to form them. So you borrow that kind of consciousness to put together the experience and the expression that you call yourself. And that is but a tiny sliver of the wholeness of self. So keeping that in mind, pondering this, following the meanderings of your consciousness along that path can bring you not just solace, but a deep-seated sense of fulfillment, which leads to a sense of happiness, which leads to a greater sense of health and well-being. Is all that you experience in one form or another is manifest, whether in your plane of existence or another. So you are always creating. It is not as if you are going to learn to be a creator. You already are. You cannot help that. It is hardwired, not just in your brain. It is not just wired into your mind. It is what you do. Just as bees make honey, beavers build dams, spiders build webs. You create. The trick here, as you would say, is learning how to create more beneficially for yourselves by ending old defense mechanisms and strategies that became part of your repertoire as you grew up facing different challenges and traumas, to move beyond that and to create from a deep-seated, loving place. So we just wanted to share that and perhaps open the floor to your inquiries, perhaps on the subject we broached or something else. Please feel entirely free to participate.
Thank you, Kris. We have Patrick with a question.
Indeed.
Hello, Kris. Hello, Serge.
Most pleasing to see you.
I'm quite exciting right now. Half an hour ago, I was watching a TV show with my wife, sitting in the couch, and the front door handle started to turn, like somebody was coming in the house. And she said, "There's nobody there." I said, "Yes, of course somebody's there, but you can see it." And who's coming up? It's a friend who passed away years ago. His name is Ron Laplace. He teach like the human light body, the Merkaba, for a long, long time. And I'm starting to do it again because I did it between 2011 and 2016. I have to stop because, life is moving and something else there. And I'm fascinating about geometry, and I'm probably building geometry when I'm sleeping, whatever. This is a passion for me. And he started to communicate with me about the idea of going back to present workshop. And the communication just stopped. Something like start to, like it was a webbing frequency, and I lost the communication. And I'm just wondering, it's like, do you have any idea why the communication get lost, or?
It is quite possible that either from his end or your end, you shifted your thinking towards what is the implication that is being presented so that threw you into another space. The idea of geometry and sacred geometry and so on is indeed perhaps far more fascinating than suspected. And it has to do with a deep basis in not just the thought patterns that you are accustomed to, but the thought patterns that exist within the structure of the so-called external universe. Everything is based upon patterns. Your brain is a pattern-seeking device. Your mind operates optimally with very clear set patterns. Your universe in physical terms is also based upon patterns that are originally from within consciousness itself. Consciousness creates form and not the other way around. So there are patterns within the layout of consciousness. It is not just a great big blob of nothingness or of love and fuzziness and so on and so forth. It's very, very clear patterns. And the idea of sacred geometry stems from that. It is an offshoot of those deep patterns that are embedded within the very structures of consciousness. So when you decided, and this applies to all of you, when you decided to incarnate, the commonly used term to create a physical form, you sought out specific patterns that matched your own energy within the people who became your parents. And from that, you structured the patterns to create your physical form, taken from the patterns within their DNA. And in that way, you utilized pattern resonance to create the physical body that you have, that your partner has, that your family has, and everybody else. You all operate on wavelengths generated from patterns. So that is why many people are fascinated by geometry and sacred geometry, because it speaks directly to the pattern forming tendency that is in existence within the entity itself. The soul itself is also based upon patterns, but not the kinds of patterns you see in physical reality. Those patterns are reflections of deeper states. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. I can see them many, many, many times in my life. It's just like it's
Yeah.
part of me, I guess. Okay, I
Yes.
was just curious about that. It looked like he was encouraged me to keep doing it, to just doing it.
Yes. And our sense is also to revisit that possibility. And of course, you are not obliged. You can make your own mind. You are not forced. But if you do, explore the very possibility that so much has also grown over the last few years with you. So you may be able to inject a whole new level of exploration upon those things. Does that also make sense to you?
It is makes sense. I was just curious. That was my
Indeed.
question.
And
Thank you.
do not worry, curiosity has never killed a cat. Ever.
No. It's just kind of very fun when you see those things moving in the house and you don't see anybody there. You know, I just kind of enjoy it.
And by the way, you don't need to call Ghostbusters.
No, no, no. It's just I think it's coming more and more as parts of everyone on the planet if they're opening for that.
Yes. And there are many things that are on the cusp of opening up for your planet and its inhabitants, but everyone proceeds at their own rate.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you so much again. Much love to you.
Indeed.
Welcome back, Kris. And that was an incredible answer, of course. I'm so glad you touched on that. I had a question about you mentioned atoms, and I feel that they have interdimensional qualities. We don't just borrow them from the physical reality because nothing is physical. But I was curious about atoms themselves have cycles. And is that the part that links with the interdimensionality?
It's a very good inquiry. We would like first to express that the atoms that you grew up in picture books, a little nucleus and little satellites, this is actually merely an artist's rendition. They're quite different. And atoms are themselves made up of much smaller particles, made up of much smaller particles again. And yet all of these particles are found in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You have heard of string theory. And this is just the cutting edge of a much deeper understanding about the nature of reality. Because for all intents and purposes, reality as you think of it doesn't really exist. It is a projection from your ideas, from your beliefs, from your notions and narratives about said reality. Once you begin to explore that, as we suggested a few moments ago, you begin to see patterns, deeply seated patterns within patterns within patterns, all linking and basically making the stuff that your senses interpret as the universe. But for, again, the universe as you think of it does not exist. The so-called atoms and molecules, and we use the terms loosely because it is semi-understood, are themselves empty space. So to say, you sit with a table behind you, books on your shelf, everything looks very nice, solid, and reassuring because it is your space. And yet, all of these books, the table, the chair, the computer, your glasses, shirt, beard, hair, skin, all of that doesn't exist in that way. It is a projection from certain layers of your own realities. So it is safe to say that nothing exists, yet everything exists. So if you were to zoom in on the atoms and molecules that make up the tabletop behind you, you would see empty space. And this is something even quantum physics is recognizing. So the earlier explorations by your scientists and others have laid a certain foundation. And now there are a different kind, there's a different species of scientists slowly exploring reality as you think of it. And these scientists don't wear lab coats. They don't study through the microscope. They explore consciousness. So you are scientists and explorers of consciousness. You want to understand the nature of reality and the nature of thought, not just the old-fashioned way, but you yourselves are learning to play with the building blocks of reality, which is, as we suggested, consciousness, because consciousness creates form. Does that make sense to you?
That makes a lot of sense. And I would say it's an in-depth answer since you told us to go look inside smaller and smaller parts. But that was the first part, and you had a wonderful segue into my second part about the thoughts affecting the reality on.
Do you forgive us for peeking onto your thoughts?
Anytime, you are most welcome, Kris.
We are just cheeky buggers.
Of course. I know there are cycles of energy which help to manifest the realms in which physicality and other experiences are formed. In our reality, how much are those cycles affected by our beliefs, understanding that we create the cycles and the beliefs? But I'm wondering, after we're here in the physicality form, how much do our beliefs in that regard affect those cycles?
They actually create the cycles. In spite of the fact that it appears as if you exist in an external universe with planets and sun, stars, and so on and so forth, these are actually narratives that exist deeper into your consciousness. And you use that to project it outwardly and give you the sense of a deep space that you can explore. And that exploration is a translation of your own explorations of inner space. And you will always create the patterns and the cycles that appear to influence you, but the reality is that you influence events, conditions, and circumstances by simply being you. They are manifestations of you. They are projections of your own energy.
And I also, you probably assisted, but I got the distinct impression that, of course, all of those are from me, but they may be projected from a me on a different level to help support and coordinate on this level. That was very well. I really appreciate
and
that.
That is also worth exploring, simply because since you create your own experience, you also create the time within which you have those experiences. As such, time as you think of it doesn't necessarily exist. And Uncle Seth was quite clear. He did not say time doesn't exist. He said time as you know it doesn't exist. That has deep implications as well, because you exist in a notion of time and space that is considered simultaneous. The simultaneous nature of your experience is vast, almost beyond comprehension. Your species doesn't have the neurological capacity to experience it as of yet. But you exist in multiple dimensions that you create as well. And yes, the goings on in some of your own selves do influence you in a manner that is beneficial, as long as you make allowances. So you may be pondering a problem of some kind. You're looking for some solution. You stop thinking about it. You go to sleep. You have a dream. You get an inspiration. Oh, problem solved. Where does that come from? It comes from you in another place that may already have dealt with the situation, that may already have dotted their I's and squared their T's. And there you have, and this can also be explored How many times have you read or heard about a scientist of some kind, a researcher looking into some challenge, and they seem to have a block? They put it to rest, they go to sleep, they go for a walk, and out of the blue, the solution pops into their head. It is done through the venues of your so-called subconscious, but it comes from somewhere, and that is your other selves. So you exist in multiple dimensions at once, and those dimensions exist in multiple time frames, and all of them are interconnected through these beautiful patterns we mentioned a moment ago.
Fabulous. Can't wait to listen to this one again. Thank you. Christina.
Hello.
Indeed.
For the record, I love cheeky buggers. I consider myself to be one as well.
Well, then welcome.
Thank you.
The universe needs cheeky buggers.
I totally agree. Um, Speaking of attendance, would you like or be able to share some of the unseen beings that are attending this get together?
So each of you, as we suggested, actually live in multiple universes. So you are multiple beings. Even though you might only think of yourself in this present moment, that is just the loosely termed ego portion of your lovely self. But there are many, many others. Now, often when people speak about other beings, you think of otherworldly beings and so on and so forth, but you don't realize that you populate those other worlds with your own energy because you create that reality. So you may have other selves that exist in other dimensions, in other forms as well. Some may be humanoid, some may be so alien to you, you couldn't even detect them, not with your physical apparatus. So you are always surrounded by these individuals that are a part and parcel of your own experience. We explain it this way because sometimes the tendency is to think that you have beings that watch over you. Yes, you do, but they are not the ones that come from ancient stories. These are interpretations of the very same thing we are addressing right now. So you always have multiple forms that you inhabit, but you only focus on the one that you are right now thinking about. It might seem convoluted, but our purpose is to help you concentrate on the idea that you are more than the sum of all of your parts, seen and unseen. So you have energy that expresses itself in other ways, in other planes, in other forms. When you dream, for instance, your physical form is sleeping on the bed, head gently resting on the pillow, blanket covering you. And yet you are free to explore worlds that you've barely ever dreamt of. Those are also you. And depending on the nature and the depth of the dream and the dream cycles, you have several forms of yourself all engaged in activities simultaneously, but you would only remember, let's say, 4 dreams. And you think they happen separately. They all happen simultaneously, just in different planes. Does that make sense to you?
Perfectly. Makes sense. Thank you.
Indeed.
And
we thank you for the question.
yes, and as you did with Ray, you also now led nicely to my next question.
Indeed.
I see a pattern here. So I seem to go through long periods where literally all I want to do is sleep. I obviously can't because I have to work and all these things, but the tendency is to get as much sleep as I can. And I could just have a break of 10 minutes and I'll sleep. Can you comment on that? Is it because I have things to do elsewhere, or is it because I'm just having trouble with this current reality that I have obviously created?
There might be a little bit of both. Individuals who we will just term it as high energy engagers, you engage energy, have a tendency to burn energy very fast and may have a need for more sleep as well as a need to eat more because you burn calories because there is a part of you that is always active and engaged. And for yourself, just like Joseph, our friend here, you have activities in dream states that you are not quite aware of, but when you will do a perhaps deeper exploration, you will find that you have a tendency and a capacity to be drawn to those individuals who are on the verge of or are already leaving their physical body. They have wrapped up their own experiences and are waiting for the next stage, and they might be in need of some assistance to leave that body. So you would show up in their particular reality as a helper, someone who helps them understand and cope with the idea that they can leave their body behind because it's no longer necessary for them. That requires a little more sleep because it is almost as if you work hard at those situations. Does that make some sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Just to give you a little sense of that, the Netflix series Sandman has an episode where the very same situation is described, as does, we believe it is episode 3 of the old series American Gods, where something very similar happens. And it might trigger deeper memory. Do you
Thank
follow?
you. I'll need to investigate. I don't have it, but I will investigate. Thank you.
Indeed. There are more people that do this than are actually aware of doing it. There's only a few people that have awareness of it. But it is quite common simply because you recognize that these are all your brothers and sisters, and some may need a little help when they disengage from the physical experience. It can be disorienting.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Indeed.
Jamie, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Indeed.
Excellent. My question is regarding a concept called empathic sensitivity or empathic energy. Can you expand or give some insight on that? There are different perspectives on this, and I would like to understand more deeply about what it is to be empathic, what it is to experience empathic energy, and if that has more to do with the belief system of the person in feeling the empathic energy, or some sense of responsibility for others and things of that nature. So anything you can share would be appreciated.
When you encountered this concept for the first time, if you recall, how did it make you feel?
The empathic energy?
The very idea of that.
Oh, it puts one in kind of a disempowered state, I would say. It puts one into almost a victim state because you are feeling something you're perceiving is coming from outside yourself and is affecting you.
Indeed, so it appears. But do not be deceived by the kind of sensation that it provides, because in truth, you are never disempowered. You have to get to know that deeper part of you that is open to sensing or feeling other individuals' particular states. Some of them, it could be sad, some people could be happy, some people could be melancholic, and so on and so forth. You basically pick them up like a magnet would pick filings of iron. It doesn't mean that you are a victim of other people's feeling states. You pick them up, but it could also be very empowering for you to recognize that there is a part of you that is open to that kind of dimension, and allowing yourself to recognize, and we understand that sometimes it doesn't feel like a gift as much as it feels like a curse. But allowing yourself to create and reframe the narrative that individuals might be struggling with their own emotional state, you pick it up. And in turn, you can transform what you are feeling and give that back to them. Because every single individual, every single being is a basic transformer of energy. You take energy, you transform it into form, you give it experience. You are basically almost like a nuclear device. And you have the energy within you of millions and billions of suns and galaxies. How could you be disempowered? So by reframing it that way, you can not only assist yourself to ground yourself, but you can also very nonchalantly, without any trumpets and fanfare, just return a gentle flow of energy to whomever it might be in your environment that is experiencing some kind of distress. And knowing specifically that you are composed of the same energy that have made up suns and galaxies and universes can be very empowering. But the more you allow yourself to feel down and out, the worse it gets. And you have already confirmed that. Now flip it around. Consider that this is an opportunity for you to tap into a deeper universal source from within your own being. You can make a tremendous difference in not only how you feel, but freely giving it out or back in such a way that the individual is lovingly receiving warmth, not just from your heart, but from the whole universe as such. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, yes, very much. It's been an interesting topic for many years.
Indeed. And there are many similar people as yourself that have also struggled with what is lucidly termed depression of some kind, some melancholy. And you are more sensitive, or you have sensitized yourself more to others like yourself. So you might be creating a network of little SOS signals, knowing that you are more powerful than any little signal that you pick up. You can send back 100-fold true power from your heart. Do you follow that?
Yes, it seems that those who feel that they're more empowered in their empathic skills would then be able to be in a role of service, perhaps to transmute and inspire maybe others.
Yes. And many of them do so in such a way that they would never draw attention to themselves. They just walk down the road and the love flows freely because they are so filled with it, it overflows. And that's the key. That's the secret. So get yourself into a state where your cup runneth over and it floods them too.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those insights. I appreciate that.
Indeed, you are most welcome.
Hi, Kris. I am going to ask a little question on channeling.
A little
Yeah.
one?
A little one, yeah. A small one.
We are surprised.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. So we can say that channeling is essentially becoming aware of different parts of what we are. It's a process
Yes.
of expansion into the infinity of it all. And
Yes.
because our neurological system cannot accommodate everything in large
Mm.
scale, forget about infinity, even in large scale, difficult. You know, we're sort of distilling one and another one and perhaps another one and becoming aware. And we may identify it as a guide, or we could even identify it as a boogeyman of sorts. But in reality, we should start easing ourselves into the feeling nature that allows that to come into our awareness.
Indeed. We might even add to that it isn't just a random feeling itself. It is far more biological than that. It actually affects your own neurological connections, the neuron links, those that function in that capacity, indeed increase the synaptic connections, the neuronic links in their brain. And this overflows into, because the brain and the mind are very different, but one influences the other more. The mind influences the brain. So you, as a channeler, all channelers, use their mind in a way that is very different from the average individual who simply gets up, goes to work, comes back home, goes to sleep, and nothing else. So you engage at, we will just use loosely the term higher dimensions. You engage those properties that are already biologically built in, just like everyone has the capacity to go from kindergarten to grade school to secondary to university and up. You all have the same mental mind capacity. How you choose to use it according to your beliefs is another story, but you all have the same equal capacity. You would call it an extra dimensional DEI.
A term for the day.
So, yes, you are all woke.
Thank you for that.
So the capacity exists in each and every one of you. It is built into you. That is why you're able to dream, even if you don't recall your dreams. This is why you can dream. You open doorways, neurological doorways, gateways to those other dimensions of yourself. That is why dreams is an important subject.
Very important. I have to
It isn't
agree
just
with
because
that.
you ate some bad cheese.
Sure. I have a small other question that I'd like to make. I've noticed that although any energy that I come in contact with, theoretically, doesn't have to be felt. But I've noticed that when I particularly make calls to my higher self, I feel a wave of energy, very subtle. Is that more because of my beliefs that something should be felt? Or what
That
makes that
opens up.
happen?
That opens up a whole new can, not of worms, but of inquiries. Though worms themselves also have particular feeling states. But you exist, you have your being in a multidimensional state. There's no denying that. Even your quantum scientists are already venturing into that area. What is important is that you pick up, you detect, you converse with other aspects of yourselves literally all the time. Your brain and your mind never sleep. You withdraw from your sensory environment. So you go into another environment or other environments that are even more active sensory wise. So you have all these feelings that some of them cannot be translated into waking states, but you may have echoes throughout the day of some kind of state, a feeling state, a mood, something that is enticing you. It is enchanting you to go further, to explore more. And if you follow the meanderings of your thoughts that way, you will be surprised indeed. You might even wonder, why didn't I explore this earlier? Does that make sense to you?
It does. Yes, it does.
Your consciousness is always meandering in multiple ways, but you are the one through your beliefs and training. No, no, don't go there, stay here. Don't go there. No, come back here, stay here. Stay in the moment that you were conditioned to be in, that your whole self has the almost like salmon are biologically programmed to return to the stream of their birth. So you return to the stream of your innate consciousness. If you allow that meandering, you will augment your journey of self-discovery. And if you follow these threads, follow your thoughts that way, then the whole experience of self becomes an entirely different thing altogether. So we encourage you to get accustomed, tune into the nature of your meandering thoughts. It is well worth the effort. This is what you do with so-called self-exploration. This is not something that you learn from books. This is something that is innate, but you have to follow that innate call.
Must be experience.
Indeed. There
Yeah.
is no getting around it.
Yeah. It's a beautiful card that Osho has in his deck. It's called Experiencing. And in that particular image, the being, which happens to be a female, it is very softly experiencing a very beautiful tree.
Indeed. And your marketing efforts throughout your commercial world are very aware of this, very much aware of this. When you see commercials for automobiles, what do they try to get you to sense or feel? They try to get you to feel what it would be like to be at the wheel of this car or that car, the sensation of it, the people looking at you as you're driving your vehicle, going down the highway, the rush as you speed, and so on and so forth. Everything is always based on that particular feeling tone.
Indeed. And what people often call vibration is a set of feelings that you associate with a very specific channel that you are touching. That's my
Indeed.
experience. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kris. And Ray is next with a question.
And thank you again. Being an inquisitive soul and knowing there are no limits, are you aware of any universes or realms without patterns?
That is also a very interesting inquiry. We would respond in this way. There might be universes with patterns that are so elusive, even such as ourselves may not be able to detect them, but they exist all the same. So we would have to attune ourselves to those particularly generated patterns to become aware of them. Does that make sense to you?
That makes complete sense and just blew me away with its simplicity and authenticity. Thank you, Kris. Christina?
Christiana
Thank you.
Confo, yeah.
Yes, hello again.
Indeed.
I saw a sign recently posted somewhere in Germany. This sign claimed that Earth is the only planet that has beer. Are you aware of, excluding all the parallel versions of Earth?
It all depends on the kind of beer, really. It should
As
be
in,
first class.
yes,
Now, alcoholic beverages of one kind or another have been part of your species' experience for a very, very long time, perhaps even accidentally discovered. But we can say that shockingly, there are galaxies that are made of alcohol.
wow.
Simply because as a species, you create the experiences. So somewhere in space-time, there is something akin to your own experiences in ways you cannot fathom.
So I can go back to that person and say there are more planets that have beer.
Not necessarily just planets, but galaxies
Right.
that have alcohol. The fermentation process is as old as history.
Mm.
Parts of your own planet are due to the results of fermentation.
Yes.
It can also be said that everything that you experience in your physical world exists elsewhere. You are not the only planet with beer, by the way.
That is very good to know. Thank you.
Indeed. Happy drinking.
Thank you.
I have a final question if nobody else has any other questions. And it's an observation. So I'd like a commentary about the observation. As I go about understanding more and more of what lives in the planet, I am aware that what I'm seeing are versions of what we call galactic beings in some form or the other, embedded in all the animal kingdoms and, well, for that matter, all that exists on the planet. Almost as if that was part of the plan, that we would have those physical beings available to us to start imagining the great DEI, diversity of creation.
When, how shall we put this? When the beings, for lack of better words, when the beings came together and decided they would like to create a specific plane of experience for very specific functions, such as a physical reality, where you can experience the solidification of consciousness. You had planned out a great array of possibilities and giving yourselves reminders of the generous nature of consciousness and life itself. These reminders have been with your species for a long time. They might have appeared as animal gods, half human, half animal gods, and vice versa. Different forms that express the various possibilities to your species. And your species takes what is possible for themselves at this point. But you have always left breadcrumbs of potential. You have always enjoyed your myths and stories. Sometimes you consider them sacred stories, but they are myths all the same, that at least spark your imagination and give you hope for a future, for tomorrow and the day after, and all the possibilities inherent within futures. So you have always left little crumbs of possibilities, of wisdom, of knowledge, to which you adhere to very strongly because it opens the doors to potential. And potential, in a sense, is love. Does that make sense?
Of course, it does make sense. What can I
Now, are
say?
there any last inquiry?
Well, you just said love, Jesus, that opens the channels of all kinds of questions. But
Indeed.
you almost left me blank because of the nature of that theme is so crucial. Self-love, for example. Oh my God, love in all of its forms. Understanding what that is very central to the human experience and flowing with it. Opening of the hearts, compassion, all of that. But
And these are just scratching the surface.
Just scratching the surface, absolutely.
But it is a lovely scratch.
It's a lovely scratch, and experiencing the scratching can be very beautiful thing as well.
We can put it to you this way. One drop, one singular drop from the ocean of loving nectar can transform your lives in unimaginable way. So let yourself flow with that idea. Pick up the scent of that one drop from the ocean of nectar and love and flow with it.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Kris, and thank you for being here today, and for Serge being Joseph, being who
Indeed,
he is.
and we thank everyone who participated, and our fond hello to Chuck. You have been very quiet. Now then, we
well,
return
they
Joseph.
came to hear you this time, not me, my good friend. So I will allow them that.
Indeed. And might we say to you that over the next few weeks, and this is not necessarily a prediction, it is a sense, that over the next few weeks, open yourself up even deeper than you have. It will require that of you.
I get that sense as well. Thank you for the corroboration. I appreciate it, my friend.
Indeed. Then we return Joseph to your multiple lovely selves, wherever you are in time and space. And we send love and thank you for your kindness.
We send you love as well.
Oh my gosh.
We love you, Serge.
Oh my gosh, Serge. Yes, that was very impactful in many ways.
Indeed.
That was a very nice homecoming.
Indeed. For sure.
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, what can I say? The master knows his ways, it just happens quickly.
And of course, it's always worth waiting for.
Yeah.
Since it's all simultaneous, right? We weren't really waiting at all.
We just create the moment when everybody's prepared for the information that's going to show up.
That's right. Waiting. What is that anyway? Well, we thank you.
guys. Well, thank you very much.
Lots and lots of nuggets of information in that one. I tell you, I got lots of notes on it. That was awesome.
Cool. Okay, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Serge.
Good night,
Good night.
Serge, and thank you so much for being here. And so it is. Let's see, there's a minor thing that I'm going to interject before we have the next session. And Willow has put together another blog today. And it's a short one. And it has a lot to do with the general theme that we actually got into somewhat with Kris. And even if that had not happened, it has a lot to do with a few things that I intend to say later as well. So some of it all connects. The threads are good. Let's put it that way. So Willow, if you are available at the moment, I think you are. Why don't you step forth and give us the beautiful message that you were able to channel today?
Thank you, Luis, for that little introduction and for allowing this to happen at this time. That's very exciting. Thank you. I have it written here, so I will just read it because I don't have it memorized, but it does sort of go along the theme of what Serge was just channeling. So that's, yeah, thank you. So if everyone's ready and if you can hear me, then I will just get started. Okay. So this new one is called The Collective Within the Individual. So, to greet oneself from a new point of view suggests a deeper look into the mirror. In this case, referring to the reflections of ourselves that we see in others. So much can be learned from the feelings, inner dialogue, and outward expressions that we display when connecting with another individual. Which aspects of yourself become animated when scanning the infinite hall of mirrors before you? The individuals you connect with serve as focal points, allowing you to become aware of specific aspects of your own being where most needed in that interaction. There is no difference in quality or value amongst these aspects. They are all purposeful for not only your expansion, but the expansion of others. By accepting all of your aspects for how they present themselves, you are providing validation to the unknown. You are allowing yourself to freely exist and express in ways that may not be recognizable to you until they are. Previously seen versions of yourself are given, or previously unseen versions of yourself are given the opportunity to surface once you fearlessly extend this invitation deeper into your consciousness. This particular exploration can be very illuminating and is certainly full of surprises. There may be challenges that arise as you become aware of the soft whispers that grow into echoing Sorry, one moment. Let me reread that sentence. There may be challenges that arise as you become aware of the soft whispers that grow into echoing voices within your mind. Once a platform has been given to the suppressed identities within you, they will make themselves known. Allow them to share, coax out their laughter and cries, and listen curiously as they reveal to you what needs to be heard. Though these aspects may be reverberations of past identities, they've awakened from hibernation in order to provide you with an opportunity for further growth. Memories that consciously resurface are direct gateways into the aspects of ourselves who desire reconnection. This act of reaching out is always mutual. It is an action that offers both sides the option to evolve. By engaging in these connections, the tool of compare and contrast can be used in a very conscious manner. During this process of reviewing yourself positively and constructively, while neutrally observing the differences rather than judging them, you act as your own guide towards your next focused identity. Suggestions and insights can be drawn upon from all of your timeless aspects, those who used to be your primary focus and those who don't yet reside in your present awareness. They all exist now and are all available to assist you at any moment. This process of initiating connection among your various aspects can be a very organic and natural unfoldment. Communication between your identities can develop by simply honoring the diversity of information that may suddenly fill your awareness. They are always sending, always broadcasting energy to you in various forms. You assign the meaning to the messages, implying that all of the messages have already been received, just not yet interpreted. The influx of information will begin to settle and become organized the more you validate all the unique ways in which your aspects can connect with you. Once you invite more and more versions of yourself into your awareness, a coherent collective is born. Begin talking to yourself as a collective and feel the assortment of responses that rise within. Observe as they harmonize into a single answer, and as your consciousness condenses and translates infinite views into one clear response. As you practice this, your attention may shift from voice to voice within the choir, as you tune yourself to the layers of information that create the collective. You really aren't an individual. You are a focus that shifts between various expressions of your soul. You are always channeling multiple aspects of your being, just using the same equipment. Therefore, you appear to be the same singular being. But you are a collective of voices, perspectives, identities, and choices. Treat yourself as a community, your community. By supporting all members, by supporting all members in your collective, they will all support you. Due to the fractal nature of reality, we are each an embodied example of the paradox that is Source. We are simultaneously the individual and the collective. Upon deeper investigation into this idea, you may find that the way you navigate reality drastically changes. By realizing yourself to be a vast collective, you discover that all states of being are already available to you. There is an aspect of you expressing themselves as love, as fear, with great freedom, great limitation. Once you truly understand how all of these expressions are you and equally attainable, it becomes effortless to shift. No process is required to embody a new perspective. Your belief in your capability is what allows you to change. Though it may feel contradictory to love your shadows, your pain, and your wounds, it is a way of neutralizing all choices. Imagine and personify each challenge as being an aspect of your personal collective. They are teachers and opportunities that you can either observe or embody directly as a way of fully absorbing the information they have to offer. By integrating with the teacher from the perspective of the student, you are demonstrating to yourself the depth of your power. There is no difference between the apprentice and the master on this level. It can appear that these two aspects must require a process or an evolution in order to become one. However, both identities can be present within you at the same time, and they work in tandem to remind you of your ability to transmute any challenge. By learning how to utilize the power of your emotions, thoughts, and intentions, you can seamlessly integrate with an aspect that feels more aligned with how you'd prefer to express yourself. By directing energy into versions of yourself that don't reflect the qualities that feel most natural to convey, you are suppressing the aspect that is most needed in that situation. This applies in both negative and positive directions. If you invalidate an emotion or a thought process that arose naturally within you, and don't allow a version of yourself who was designed to process that energy to step in, disorientation may follow. A sense of emptiness and disassociation may briefly envelop you as you take a moment to pause and reorient. By insisting to remain focused as only one aspect of your being, you are denying your other expressions of their roles as members in your personal collective. If you unconditionally allow yourself to shift between identities as they are most needed, you will always feel centered, supported, and aware of how to respond in any circumstance. It takes a great deal of vulnerability to open up to this new way of perceiving yourself. All secrets become known, all shadows are invited into the light, and all fears are granted permission to take the stage. But with such a degree of vulnerability comes the strongest, most indestructible sense of self-trust. Actually, the trust precedes the vulnerability, though it may not appear that way initially. Without trust as your companion on this journey, the open landscapes of your soul cannot be explored. By confidently displaying vulnerability and inviting new perspectives to occupy your awareness, you can experience yourself anew. So, who are you now? Whose eyes are gazing back at you in the mirror? Why not ask and see who answers? So that's what I have.
If somebody wants to ask a little question or make a comment, Willow will take some, right? For a few minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a bit long.
Who wants to step forward?
I'll just make a comment to start with. That was very comprehensive. That was quite nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I have a question. You know, I know you did that this morning, but you were thinking about it last night, right? So can you distill a little bit of insight as to how that flow went about to become what you wrote?
Well, this morning I went outside, as I usually do when I start writing these things, and I was just walking in circles on the porch and just sort of captured the flow. You know, you just start writing a couple words and then you're in the stream, and then I just start copying what I'm receiving in my mind, and I just allow it to keep flowing through me. And I did that for a while outside, and then I had to come in because it got too hot. So then I just sort of continued that flow upstairs on my computer and just sort of allowed it to keep coming in. And then once I received enough solid paragraphs, I went through it and sort of fine-tuned a few things, maybe rearranged some words, but for the most part, I just kept it as it was. So I don't really have a very technical understanding of my process. I just know that it's just there.
Yeah, well, I'm not
the
trying to
information
get
is
it as
there.
a technical thing, but as you have noticed, you know, yourself, you know, where things start happening. And one of the things that comes to me, of course, is that we did have a conversation yesterday, and you were hinting at this that was going to be written in the morning today. So the process had already started of distilling the idea. Now, you said something as you received it. So that's an interesting expression, as you received it. Where do you receive it from? Have you thought about that?
I think it's just probably from my other aspects, my
From
other
your other
expressions of
aspects.
myself
Yeah.
were all
Okay.
communicating with me to add their piece to this
Yeah.
orchestrated piece of writing, because it's definitely not my ego, my conscious mind writing the whole thing. It's a collection of different versions of
It's
myself, but all filtered through probably the higher self, who's sort of guiding that process and linking me up with where I need to be linked.
Beautifully said, I think. And it was a
Thank you.
beautiful blog post, and you are very comprehensive, just like Chuck stated. So it's amazing. Norton.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so, you should feel so good about yourself. That I don't, where it came from is of little consequence compared to the fact that it exists within you. It's just gorgeous.
Except that what you
Thank
just
you.
said right now is the most important thing. It exists within you, Willow. That's there. And I say it's there all the time, and growing, expanding.
And so what's interesting about that is that it was a very deep place that Willow drew that from, because of course we all know it's no coincidence how closely that dovetailed into the information that Kris shared tonight.
No, beautiful.
Very much so. Very much so. Anyway.
Thank you for your kind words. That means so much, to be so encouraged by people who understand and receive these same insights and just can appreciate where it comes from, wherever it comes from. So thank you for all of your support.
Yeah, I want to remind the concept of equality. We're all equals. And in expressing as freely, and you do a phenomenal job of expressing yourself freely. You know, the level of unencumbrance in your expression is very minimal, at least what I experience. And in doing so, we are, we become more and more and more equal in every way. There's nothing that is different about what lies within, anyway, of any one of us. Okay. And I thank you for coming forth. today.
Thank you.
We're going to take a little break, 5-minute break, and Travis is going to have the second session here. And we'll see you guys, according to what I see, let's say that at 7:54 of Eastern time, we are all back in our chairs, ready to roll again. Thank you.